to the rolling lap. It's Turney and Butcher, Kimber and Ravenscroft, Porter and Van Splinteren, and Olsen and Brown-Nutley from Pico and Karanini in the top 10. Then it's Xavier Hansheim and Danny Curl on the 6th row from Rens van Pelt and Manaf Hijawi. Owen Byatt is alongside Dan Steenman, Isaac Valtonen and Angus Mulsdale on row 9. And then Ruben Moyer is going to be alone on the 10th row of the grid because Siem Liedmar is not starting. Hannes Morin and Niels Kuhlen on the 11th row from Rashid Ghanem and Rivaldo van der Westerleken. Daniel Trager of Denmark and Eduardo Kosoteng of the Philippines is on the 13th row. Then it's Levi Lutecanto and Tony Harainen, an all-Finnish 14th row. Leonardo Caglioni and Valentino Fritsch, the top 2 over the line in the second chance heat on the 15th row. And then it's Patrick Diegenbeck, Romain Leroux, Luki Trevs, and taking up the last position on the grid, Harry Barlow of Great Britain. So they run around on their formation lap. And this is going to be a very exciting test of their powers now. 15 laps around the circuit for the pre-final. For a few drivers this weekend, it is their first A final of the 2018 campaign, particularly for the likes of Leonardo Caglioni, for Valentino Fritsch and Patrick Diegenbeck, and also for the young Brit Harry Barlow, 16 years of age for Thule Motorsport, making his way into the A final for the first time this season, having raced at Saubries and Marienborg. So he's making real progress in what is set to be his final weekend of the 2018 campaign. He's not able to make it to Castelletto, sadly. So he will go out with a bang by the look of it. Here they come in their formation. Turney and Butcher at the front end. Kimber and Ravenscroft on the second row. Porter and Van Splinteren. Olsen and Brown-Nutley. Pico and Cananini. Hansheim and Curl. Van Pelt and Hijawi. Byatt and Steenman. Valtonen and Mulsdale. Liedmar is not there, so Moyer's on his own on the 10th row. Morin and Kuhlen, Ghanem and Van der Westerleken, Trager and Kosoteng, Lintecanto and Herainen, Caglioni, Fritsch, Diegenbeck, Leroux, Trefs and Barlow. They're going to form up in their rows. It's a clean-looking start. I think we're going to get away, no problem. Yes, we are. Good start at the front from Joe Turney. He cuts across Sean Butcher, no problem, as Ravenscroft holds it round the outside. But splitting them up the middle is Morgan Porter, who's got a cracking getaway. Matilda Olsen's in the middle of the mix there as well through turn 2, as a couple of drivers run wide, but there's no fisticuffs. So out in front, it is Joe Turney in front of Kimber, who's come through to second. And then it's Porter and Joey Van Splinteren, and there's contact further back. Several karts going off the road there. And it looks like one or two of them are going to have a bit of a job to get themselves back onto the racetrack. Now, one of them has actually gone through the runoff area, and I'm not entirely sure what the legalities of that is. But we'll try and double check how that's going to work out in the long run. We'll find out later. Joe Turney leads the way, Kimber in second place, and there's a lot of jostling for position as they come through this time by. Really exciting battles. Ruben Moyer appears to have not come through in the 280. So I'm not entirely sure what happens. I think it was Ruben Moyer who actually cut across. We'll double check and figure out what is happening there. But as they come through at the end of the lap, it is Joe Turney who leads Mark Kimber. Then it is Morgan Porter from Van Splinteren. Sean Butcher is down to 5th. And down to 6th place is Jordan Brown-Nutley from Cananini, Pico and Ravenscroft. All the way down to 9th position. Crowded out at the start. Matilda Olsen down to 10th place as well. So a lot of the top names in that top 10 have been shunted down the order a little bit. So they come onto the far side of the hairpin. Joe Turney leading the way. Second is Kimber. Third is Porter. Then it's Van Splinteren, Butcher. And then Jordan Brown-Nutley in front of the Italian, Danny Cananini. So Ravenscroft trying to close up on the 8th place man, Nicolas Pico. And then Matilda Olsen is trying to shake off the attentions of Rens van Pelt as they come down the straight. And next up is Danny Curl. So a great battle in the top 12 already. 2 laps down, 13 to go. Up the inside for second, there goes Morgan Porter. Porter makes the move for second place on Mark Kimber. Very good racing from him at the moment, as now Kimber's going to have a threat from Van Splinteren. Van Splinteren down on the inside, and further back, that's a move from Danny Cananini on Jordan Brown-Nutley as well. So Cananini through into 6th place. Great racing in the early stages, but out in front it is Joe Turney, and up to second now is Morgan Porter from Joey Van Splinteren. And now comes Kimber back for more. Kimber's left that very late, but he's squeezed Van Splinteren wide in the process of the braking zone. No contact, but a nice move from Kimber. And round the outside, look at that from Sean Butcher on the outside. Van Splinteren, he doesn't have enough room and ends up going on the grass. So Van Splinteren is able to defend the position nicely there. Brown-Nutley into the position ahead of Butcher. And here comes Ravenscroft up the inside, sweeping through on the curbs. Great racing, but he's not able to get through. And now Matilda Olsen's going to make a move for position further behind them as they go 3 wide, and Ravenscroft's going to get squeezed down the order. Oh, this is not the best of races for Ravenscroft at the moment. Danny Curl's found a way to get through. And now Matilda Olsen finds herself on the back of Sean Butcher. jostling for position. Owen Byatt is the fastest man in the first sector as he comes through. So Byatt trying to make up progress. Behind Brown Nutley, we now have the 296 of Nicolas Pico into, what is that? I'm trying to do the maths there. That's 6th position. So Jordan Brown Nutley's made good work of that into 5th place. Then it's Pico in 6th. Then it's Butcher, Olsen, Curl. And then down in 10th position, I think that is, I can't tell if that is Cananini or Danny Curl. Well, watch as they come across the line. I think it's Cananini. Oh, no, it's Danny Curl in front of Cananini. Then Ravenscroft in 11th place. Van Pelt, Morin, Byatt, Hansheim, Hijawi is next. Then a great little tussle from Butcher as he has now got the 296 right in behind him in Nicolas Pico. Butcher makes the move for 6th. Olsen's going to get the move on the inside of Pico. So is Danny Curl. So is Danny Cananini round the outside. Pico going backwards and Ravenscroft gets there on the inside line as well. Pico goes down 5 places in the space of 4 corners. Wow. That's got very difficult for Pico as now making the move up the inside. That's a dive from the 212. A good move from Owen Byatt on the inside of, I think that was Hans Morin he's battling with. So some great progress in this race from several drivers who are making light work of the opposition. But Joe Turney, no problem at all, not even breaking a sweat right now. 5 laps down, 10 to go. 2nd place is Morgan Porter, 3rd is Mark Kimber, 4th position is Van Sputteren in front of Brown Nutley, Butcher, Olsen, Curl, Cananini and Ravenscroft in the top 10. A very thrilling start to the Senior X30 pre-final in the first 5 laps. But what are these next 10 going to give us? Joe Turney looking comfortable out in front at the moment from Porter and Kimber. A all-British top 3 for the moment. And there's double-waved yellows because we've got 2 carts off at the final turn. Now I'm going to try and figure out who that is that's gone off there down at the back. That looks to me to be Owen Byatt, I think, in the 212. Yes, it is. Owen Byatt has gone off there at the final turn with one of the other drivers in the field. Now, that is the 3-2-3. I think that's Rens Van Pelt. So, yes, Rens Van Pelt and Owen Byatt have come together and are out of the race at the final turn in the battle for position. So, both of them are out on the spot, unfortunately, in the gravel trap as more great racing happens around the circuit. But it's Turney in front of Porter and Kimber. Van Sputteren in 4th place. Good battles all the way down the field there. So it's Turney, Porter, Kimber, Van Sputteren, Brown Nutley, Butcher, Olsen, Curl, Ravenscroft and Cananini with Pico and Morin. Then Hansheim, Hijawi, Calioni, Diegenbeck and Van der Westerlaken. And I'm afraid to say that it's game over for Rens Van Pelt and Owen Byatt at the final turn. Their carts are being cleared away. And that is a real shame. And that means they're going to have to start the final from the back of the grid. And that's really given their championship attacks a real nerve edge. And there's 2 more. That's Angus Moulsdale. Angus Moulsdale and Niels Coolen, the man who was fastest in the warm-up this morning, have come together now as well. They've connected at turn 4. That's double-waved yellows. Now their carts are absolutely welded to each other. The German marshal's working very hard to get them off the racing line. And he has just done so in time before Joe Turney comes around. Good work from the marshal there. Fantastic work from the Red Army here around the circuit. The Marshall's team at Wackersdorf doing a fantastic performance. And to be fair, that stopped us going full course yellow. Well done to the Marshall's team. So we're now back into the race action at the front end of the field. Turney in front of Morgan Porter and Mark Kimber. Van Sputteren in 4th place. We're watching the battle for 5th place at the moment between Jordan Brown Nutley and Sean Butcher. Matilda Olsen is in 7th place. Then 8th is Danny Curl. 9th is Clayton Ravenscroft. And 10th is Danny Cananini, the Italian, in front of Pico of France, Hans Morin of Sweden, Javier Hansheim of Belgium, and then the Jordanian Minaf Ajawi. Where's Ravenscroft? Where is Clayton Ravenscroft? Double wave yellows because Ravenscroft is off the circuit by the look of it. He's dropped down the order big time to 16th, and Harry Barlow is off. Harry Barlow is off at the penultimate hairpin and got going again. That is such a shame for Harry Barlow. He was working his way up through the field. He'd made up several places, but sadly, he is not going to go any further than the back of the field at the moment. So what a shame for Barlow. That was looking so strong for him as he worked his way through the field. And there's another retirement. Goodness me, they're dropping down all over the place. Now, who is that that's gone out of the race up at turn 5? I can't quite figure out what has happened. There's a cart that's come off the circuit there up at 5 on the infield. I'm not sure who it is that's pulled off the racetrack, but I think it's one of the drivers in the midfield. So Ravenscroft has obviously fallen back a long way. but he has got going again. I'm trying to see who that is that's pulled this car off the racetrack. I'll try and figure out who it is. I think it might be Luki Treves, actually, the German. So Luki Treves, unfortunately, yes, is out of the race. He was one of the drivers to go into the top 6 in the second chance heat. And I'm afraid to say that Luki Treves is now out of the race as Matilda Olsen goes up the inside of Jordan Brown-Nutley and takes the place there beautifully. Matilda Olsen then up into the top 6, and there's another big off. There's 2 cuts that have gone off in the final chicane there. In the S's in the middle of the circuit. Now that is the 287. The 287 has come together there with the 268. They've gone together. Now that is Rashid Ghanem and Isaac Valtonen. So Rashid Ghanem and Isaac Valtonen have come off together in the S's in the middle of the circuit. And one of them is actually overshot through the barrier gap. So that's a very interesting place for the car to end up. 5 laps to go. Absolute mayhem here at Wackersdorf. But not for the man in front. Joe Turney is dodging it all. He's just keeping going out in the front end of the field as Flotsam and Jetsam are littering the circuit at pretty much every turn now. But what a fantastic run this is for Joe Turney, leading the way. But Morgan Porter has lost second place to Kimber. Porter has been passed by Kimber. Look, here they come down the back straight, and Kimber's now in a second. So Kimber in second to Porter, Van Spunteren and Butcher. Then it's Matilda Olsen up to 6th position in front of Brown-Nutley and Cannonini. And here comes Danny Cannonini down the main straight, trying to get on terms with Jordan Brown-Nutley. Brown-Nutley's trying to come back at Matilda Olsen, and that's not going to happen for the moment. So Kimber and Porter battling for second place on your screens as they come down the hill. There's Van Spunteren and Butcher. There's Olsen. Brown-Nutley. Cannonini trying to come up the inside. And I think he got there. So yes, Danny Cannonini is through. So here they come once more. That's Van Spunteren and Sean Butcher. Behind them is Matilda Olsen in front of Danny Cannonini and Jordan Brown-Nutley. Then it's the 219 and Hannes Morin. So there we go. There's Olsen, Cannonini and Jordan Brown-Nutley struggling there in the 202. So in behind, and there they come down the back straight. It's Kimber and Porter in second and third. Joe Turney just checks behind him. I've got a massive lead with 3 laps to go. Perfect. Butcher has now got past Van Spunteren. The Australian's gone through past the Dutchman. So Sean Butcher is through. Can he make this stick? At the moment, the answer is yes. Van Spunteren doesn't really have much of a response. But Matilda Olsen has fought her way back into the top 6. Let's look back and see Matilda Olsen. There she is in 6th position in front of that queue. Cannonini, Brown-Nutley and Hans Morin are in the mix as well, with Danny Curl over to 10th position. Now, where is Ravenscroft? He seems to have retired from the race now, as has Harry Barlow. Rashid Ghanem's got going again, but Ravenscroft is out of the race. That is a big drama. So I'm guessing with that incident he got involved in, which I didn't see, unfortunately, he's ended up coming into the pits to retire. And that is a big moment for the championship leader. Ravenscroft is out of the race. So that's the first major spanner in the works for his championship aspirations. And this man, his teammate, Joe Turney, is going to take full advantage of it. This has been a flawless drive from the pole sitter. He seems to have been the only driver in the whole field who hasn't been in the wars at some point. He's just controlled his pace, looked after his car, looked after the tyres. This has been an absolute masterclass from Joe Turney out in front. Mark Kimber in second, Porter in third, then it's Butcher and Van Spunteren, Olsen, Cannonini. I think Brown-Nutley's now gone behind Hans Morin. Yes, he has. Morin's got through into 8th position. So it looks like the 2 Swedes up in the top 10, Olsen and Morin in 6th and 8th. They are great friends, and it's good to see them up in the top 10 together. And they're going to be starting one in front of the other over the course of this final that's coming up, if they stay as they are. The final lap. Kimber versus Porter, still battling for second position. Can Porter steal another point off Mark Kimber? Second position would still be Mark Kimber's lowest points finish in the championship thus far, because he didn't score any points at Marienborg because he didn't make the A final. But Kimber in second position very much keeps his championship hopes alive. So Kimber is going to be playing the long game for the title fight here in second position. But today, it's all about the 257. Joe Turney has been absolutely dominant in this race, marching to victory. And this is going to be a very big moment in his championship campaign. Out of the final turn, and Joe Turney takes the 34 points for the victory in the pre-final. And that's a big step forward in the Drivers' Championship. Kimber is second. He's still very much in the game for the title. Morgan Porter in third, Butcher is fourth from Van Splinteren, and Matilda Olsen in the top six. Great drive from her once again. Danny Cananini and Hans Morin in the top 10, along with Jordan Brown-Nutley and Danny Curl. But the big headline is that the championship leader, Clayton Ravenscroft, has failed to finish for the first time this season. Just as the championship leader in the Super Shifters did so in his pre-final, Stendorian Pirimagi, Clayton Ravenscroft, the championship leader, fails to finish as well. All 4 titles are going down to the wire at Castelletto, whatever happens. But what a final this is going to be for Senior X30. Turney from Kimber and Porter and Sean Butcher in fourth. Joey Van Splinteren and Matilda Olsen. Then Danny Cananini, Hans Morin, Jordan Brown-Nutley and Danny Curl. Then it's Pico and Hans Same. Degenbeck all the way to 13th in the end. Hijawi in 14th from Caglioni. Great progress from the Italian. Lintecanto and Valentino Fritsch up to 17th. Rivaldo van der Westerlaken and Dan Steenman. LaRue, Kosseteng, Trager, Ruben Moya and Tony Harainen from Rashid Ghanem. And then our retirees, and there were a lot of them in that race. Isaac Valtenham, Harry Barlow, Clayton Ravenscroft, very dramatically. Niels Kuhlen, Angus Mulsdale, Rens van Pelt, Owen Byatt, and obviously our non-starter, Sim Liedmar. So, an incredibly dramatic X30 Senior pre-final. That's our moment to take a pause in proceedings, and it's been an absolutely amazing day thus far at Wackersdorf, with 4 races still to come. Our finals, which will be taking place just after our lunch break. The first of those races taking place at 1 o'clock local time. We should be back at about 12:30 or so. The stream will be a few minutes before the start of the X30 Mini, so that we can walk the grid and talk to the drivers in each of those contests. It's going to be an amazing afternoon here at Wackersdorf. We hope you've enjoyed it so far. The big 4 races for the championship points will be coming up in a little over an hour's time.